Hello and welcome to Community Chats. I'm your host, Ali Hammer, and today we're joined with Ricky Sutton, the founder and CEO of Oovvuu. Ricky, thanks so much for joining us today. Can you start by telling our viewers a little bit about Oovvuu?
Yeah, so we started out as a media company. Our mission was to help publishers all over the world get trusted and relevant video in their articles. And after we started, we came from journalism, we were all journalists. And then we very quickly became a tech company, which wasn't really on our original plan. Then we became an AI company, and then we found ourselves on stage at big global technology events. And so it's all been a bit of a journey for us. And, we've been with Amazon since the very beginning of that. So it's been a good one.
It's so exciting to hear how Oovvuu is using the cloud to shape the future of news. And Ricky, can you tell us how you use AWS to transform the earning power of your customers' websites?
100%. So there's some really interesting stats. So there are hundreds of billions of pages of news content consumed every month worldwide, 172 billion in the US alone in 1 month. And yet less than 1% of those page views have a video in them. Okay, and so what we decided we had to do was we had to try and get video in as many of those articles as possible, because it would improve the way the news is reported, but it would also transform earnings for publishers. So to achieve that, you start off with a mission. I'm going to put a relevant video in every article in the world. That was kind of where we started. But the first thing you have to do that is you have to put every single video that's relevant in the cloud. And when you suddenly realize we've got 400 broadcasters work with us now, and we take all their video and we put it in the cloud, that's an awful lot of videos. So there's about 5,000-6,000 videos a day that pass through us and into the cloud. And so we couldn't have done that or scaled that without Amazon. And so for us, all the world's video in all the world's article requires all the world's video in the cloud. So naturally, we went to AWS.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. And it's so awesome to see how Oovvuu is literally helping 1 billion people receive trusted news every day. And as a business obsessed over, the customer experience, which you guys are, can you share with us why being on the cloud benefits your customers and also drives such customer satisfaction?
Yeah, what I'm going to say here is probably tough for some publishers to hear, but I think they'd recognize it. It's been a tough decade for publishing, right? So if you were a football team, it's like you've lost every Saturday for 10 years. And I think a lot of them have really felt the pain. And I come from there, right? I was a journalist. I started my career as a journalist. And so what we wanted to do was to enable publishers to win again, but without putting them to too much effort. So the concept of doing hundreds and hundreds of deals with broadcasters and putting their video in the cloud, then reading hundreds of millions and billions of articles, and then matching those videos and those articles together was an incredibly complicated piece of work. But we had to make it really blindingly simple for the publishers. So we made it so simple that all they do is they literally just come to Oovvuu, whether they do it through a deployment into their content management system, perhaps WordPress, with a video platform of WordPress, or maybe they just do it through our web platform. They can just come in and type in Elon Musk, and they'll be given every video about Elon Musk, from the last couple of years, from all the world's broadcasters. So they can get it from PBS or from the Associated Press or Reuters or whoever it might be. Yeah. And they've never been able to do that before. And so the secret for us to do the right thing for our customers, for our publishers, was to make something incredibly complicated, mind-blowingly simple. And so all you have to do is to just click Elon Musk, go. It doesn't really get any easier than that. And so that was what we set out to do.
Wow, what an incredible customer experience. And I guess, can you share with us any exciting future projects you have in the pipeline? Because what's next for Oovvuu? It sounds like you've conquered what you set out to do. You've made a very complex kind of task very easy. So what are you working on next?
Yeah, so for us, I think that the world's in a really interesting position right now. I think that COVID has caused the entire world to just stop, take breath, and try and work out whether news matters. And I think that, when the news prior to COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, but prior to COVID, there were lots of things going on, but none of them were really that important, but they all felt important, right? So, were the Kardashians coming off TV? Kind of felt important, right? And all those other things that were going on, we kind of cared. But then when COVID happened, and suddenly you're worried about whether your children are going to get sick or not, the world completely changed. And I think that this whole argument that, hey, news doesn't really matter, suddenly did really matter. Okay. And so to some extent, I think that has been a turning point. So when we started our company in 2014, Our goal was to put a relevant video in every article in the world. And people kind of thought that would be nice to have because it will make us a little bit more money and perhaps it improves our engagement and that kind of thing. But I actually think that we're in 3 eras of the internet. I think we're in era 1 right now, which is that publishers will put a video in the page if they have one. And we know that across the 170 billion page views in the US published last month, less than 0.7% of them had a video in. All right, so we're in era 1. Oovvuu has to solve that. We're trying to bring in era 2, which is that there's a relevant video in every article. I think that era 3 is the one that's really exciting though. So we're probably 5 to 7 years away from era 3, but I think era 3 probably lives in a data-free world where we're just not paying for access anymore. I think that's kind of gone away. I think that the idea of words and pictures has largely diminished. I think that everybody's using mobile devices and the mobile device probably isn't personal, it's just there. And I think that ultimately the future is going to be that news telling is going to be all video and words and pictures are going to be secondary. So 3 generations. An article with a video in it, if I've got one today, Oovvuu's changing that to every article has a video in so we can report the news better, to prepare for era 3 when all news is video led and on a mobile device. And so to do that, we really do have to grow very quickly. And so we're very selective about the people that we work with, and we have to be able to scale at a speed that didn't even occur to us when we started. Okay, so you know we need to spin up new servers, and we need to suddenly new publishers sign up. We got a phone call yesterday from an Indian publisher. Okay, they want us to serve 75 million video views a day. All right, so you know that's not easy. Okay, you know we're talking about the daily viewing of the largest broadcaster in America in a day. Right, so that's a challenge, and we have to scale for that. And so we have to choose our partners carefully. And AWS, you know, we've scaled and scaled and scaled again, and then scaled again, and every time it's twice as big as the last one. And so we you know, that's why we've gone there.
Wow, I mean, my mind's blown. And it's always so interesting to hear like where a company started and how they've had to pivot and keep up with technical trends and COVID, and it's really fascinating stuff. One last question from me, which we're asking all our customers in 2021. What's your top tip for creating a fun working culture within your business? I mean, you're in Palm Beach, in one of Australia's most beautiful beaches. Is that one of your top tips, or how do you make it fun during COVID? I mean, everyone's working remotely. What do you guys do?
Look, I just think that for me as a CEO and a founder, I think the best way to try and keep a fun and vibrant workplace is just communication, right? So, you know, we live on video conferencing now. One of my staff has just moved to New Zealand with his wife and child, which he couldn't do previously, but now he can. And he's in lockdown right now, so you have to talk to him every now and again and make sure he's doing okay. But, you know, we've got staff in Miami now, we've got staff in San Francisco, we've got several staff here in Sydney and New Zealand. And so across the board, I think the best thing to do to try and keep it fun is just keep talking. You can get very lost and alone on your own. You know, I would hope that we're doing a better than average job of that and keeping the comm lines open.
Ricky, thank you so much for your time today. I've learned so much, and what an amazing company. I can't wait to see if your predictions come true, and you know how much we are kind of reading and looking at pictures versus looking at videos in a decade's time. So thank you so much, and this will be the proof. You said it first here on Community Chats. Thanks, Ricky.
Thanks so much, Harry. Thank you.
See ya.